Hello, this is day 2 of reading the Divine Comedy. We'll be reading Inferno, Canto 2, once again from the Longfellow translation, although I will use the Mark Musa translation for some of my notes and insights from him, who edited it as well. Inferno, Canto 2. Day was departing, and the embrowned air released the animals that are on earth from their fatigues, and I, the only one, made myself ready to sustain the war, both of the way and likewise of the woe, which memory that errs shall not retrace. O Muses, O high genius, now assist me. O memory, that didst write down what I saw, here thy nobility shall be manifest. And I began, Poet, who guidest me, regard my manhood if it be sufficient, ere to the arduous pass thou dost confide me. Thou sayest that of Silvius, the parent, while yet corruptible, unto the world immortal went, and was there bodily. But if the adversary of all evil was courteous, thinking of the high effect that issue would from him, and who and what, to men of intellect unmeet it seems not. For he was of great Rome, and of her empire in the imperial heaven, as father chosen. The which and what, wishing to speak the truth, were stabilized as the holy place, wherein sits the successor of the greatest Peter. Upon this journey whence thou givest him vaunt, things did he hear, which the occasion were both of his victory and the papal mantle. Thither went afterwards the chosen vessel, to bring back comfort thence unto that faith, which of salvation's way is the beginning. But I, why thither come, or who concedes it? I not Aeneas am, I am not Paul, nor I, nor others think me worthy of it. Therefore, if I resign myself to come, I fear the coming may be ill-advised. Thou art wise, and knowest better than I speak. And as he is, who unwills what he willed, and by new thoughts doth his intention change, so that from his design he quite withdraws. Such I became upon that dark hillside, because in thinking I consumed the emprise, which was so very prompt in the beginning. If I have well thy language understood, replied that shade of the magnanimous, thy soul attainted is with cowardice, which many times a man encumbers so, it turns him back from honored enterprise, as false sight doth the beast when he is shy. That thou mayst free thee from this apprehension, I'll tell thee why I came, and what I heard at the first moment when I grieved for thee. Among those was I who are in suspense, and a fair saintly lady called to me in such wise, I besought her to command me. Her eyes were shining brighter than the star, and she began to say, gentle and low, with voice angelical, in her own language, O spirit courteous of Mantua, of whom the fame still in the world endures, and shall endure, long-lasting as the world, a friend of mine, and not the friend of fortune, upon the desert slope is so impeded upon his way that he has turned through terror, and may, I fear, already be so lost that I too late have risen to his succor, from that which I have heard of him in heaven. Bestir thee now, and with thy speech ornate, and with what needful is for his release, assist him so, that I may be consoled. Beatrice am I, who do bid thee go. I come from there, where I would fain return. Love moved me, which compelleth me to speak. When I shall be in presence of my Lord, full often will I praise thee unto him. Then paused she, and thereafter I began. O Lady of Virtue, thou alone, through whom the human race exceedeth all contained within the heaven that has the lesser circles, so grateful unto me is thy commandment. To obey, if 'twere already done, were late. No farther needst thou ope to me thy wish. But the cause, tell me why thou dost not shun the here descending down into this center, from the vast place thou burnest to return to. Since thou wouldst fain so inwardly discern, briefly will I relate, she answered me. Why am I not afraid to enter here? Of those things only should one be afraid which have the power of doing others harm. Of the rest, no, because they are not fearful. God in his mercy such created me that misery of yours attains me not, nor any flame assails me of this burning. A gentle lady is in heaven, who grieves at this impediment to which I send thee, so that stern judgment there above is broken. In her entreaty she besought Lucia, and said, Thy faithful one now stands in need of thee, and unto thee I recommend him. Lucia, foe of all that cruel is, hastened away, and came unto the place where I was sitting with the ancient Rachel. Beatrice, said she, the true praise of God, why succourest thou not him who loved thee so? For thee he issued from the vulgar herd. Dost thou not hear the pity of his plaint? Dost thou not see the death that combats him, beside that flood where ocean has no vaunt? Never were persons in the world so swift to work their weal and to escape their woe, as I, after such words as these uttered, came hither downward from my blessed seat, confiding in thy dignified discourse, which honors thee, and those who have listened to it. After she thus had spoken to me, weeping, her shining eyes she turned away, whereby she made me swifter in my coming. And unto thee I came, as she desired. I have delivered thee from that wild beast, which barred the beautiful mountain's short ascent. What is it then? Why? Why dost thou delay? Why is such baseness bedded in thy heart? Daring and hardihood why hast thou not, seeing that 3 such ladies, benedict, are caring for thee in the court of heaven, and so much good my speech doth promise thee. Even as the flowerets, by nocturnal chill, bowed down and closed, when the sun whitens them, uplift themselves all open on their stems, such I became with my exhausted strength, and such good courage to my heart there coursed, that I began like an intrepid person. O she compassionate who succored me, and courteous thou who hast obeyed so soon the words of truth which she addressed to thee. Thou hast my heart so with desire disposed to the adventure, with these words of thine, that to my first intent I have returned. Now go, for one sole will is in us both, thou leader, and thou lord, and master thou. Thus said I to him, and when he had moved, I entered on the deep and savage way. So Virgil comes to Dante and says that he's going to guide him to his, well, almost all the way to his salvation. He's going to save him from this dark wood. And the first words out of Dante's mouth are, "Oh, I'm beyond saving." Have you heard that before? Have you said that before? That's exactly what he's going on about. At the beginning, when he's talking about Silvius' father, he's referring to writings of Virgil that he, in fact, has read, that obviously Virgil is familiar with, that kind of, first of all, they set up the importance of, or really the grandeur of Aeneas and of the Apostle Paul, who have gone on similar journeys to the one that he's about to undertake. If you've read the Aeneid, you know that Aeneas goes into the underworld. You know that St. Paul, according to Mark Musa here, he does allude to a kind of mystical elevation that he had to see parts of heaven. And so Dante's like, excuse me, why me? Why am I gonna go on such a journey? I can't do that. I'm just a regular guy. And, fair enough. And what Virgil says is, no, you're not being noble and thinking yourself unworthy. You're being a coward. And he goes on to explain that in fact Beatrice, somebody who Dante loved very much in life, from heaven was the one who, through a few intermediaries, Lucia is mentioned, ends up sending Virgil to go and help Dante. So all this gives Dante some courage as he faces the journey ahead. And which, by the way, it's a little bit unclear to start, but they're headed down into hell. There's, in the next canto, there's going to be a hole in the ground. They go in, and yeah, that's hell. This gives him courage because, and this is kind of true in if in your life, in my life at least, when you find someone who believes in you when you don't believe in yourself, that often makes it easier to get started. Whether that's overcoming a fault of yours or trying to do something new, but having people who believe in you definitely makes that easier. But anyways, more to the point on cowardice, though. It makes sense that a soul in Dante's position, in the dark wood, in the far from reason, far from the way of truth, would also be afraid, would also be very afraid. In fact, so afraid that they might, in fact, not see the obvious wisdom of trying to move yourself to a better place and following a guide who's willing to take you there. And like I said, you often hear people say when somebody wants to help them, I'm beyond saving, or I can't change, So that very human reality is what is being referred to here. So Virgil says, I was among those dead who are suspended. What he's referring to is limbo, which in the Divine Comedy is going to be the upper part of hell, where virtuous pagans reside. People who were virtuous in their own way, but did not know Christ, did not know the gospel, and further did not accept it, as we'll see later. That's not a place that the Catholic Church still believes in, by the way, but it at this time it was believed to exist, and so that's why Dante includes it here. One other thing. At the very beginning, you'll notice that Dante makes an invocation to the muse. And you may ask yourself, whoa, hold on a second. Dante's a Christian. Why is he referring to the Greek gods of music and poetry? But he immediately clarifies his statement. He says, O muses, O high genius, help me now. So he's not just, he's calling them muses, which definitely harkens back to Homer, harkens back to the Aeneid, those other epics in which the muses were invoked as they were believed to be as deities, but he calls it high wisdom immediately after. And this ought to be a signal for us that he's identifying the muses with something else. What is high genius in the Christian sense? God. That's something that would exist within God. So this is what Dante does throughout the comedy, because we keep running into mythological figures from Homer, figures from, again, Greek mythology, or from the Aeneid. And what he does is he includes them here in such a way as they fit within the Christian framework. So, again, he's not praying to the muses as such. He is instead, he's kind of identifying that genius, the high genius that was believed to move others to art and to music and to poetry. For the Greeks, he's identifying that as a piece of the mind of God. So that sort of thing is something that we'll see a lot going forward. All right, that'll be it for Canto 2. Join me tomorrow for Canto 3.